In this video, we'll be taking a look at two NFL games happening on September 29, 2024, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 4 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these two NFL games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start: if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Cleveland Browns versus Las Vegas Raiders. The Cleveland Browns hit the road to take on the Las Vegas Raiders in Week 4 of the NFL season. So far, Cleveland has struggled with a 1-2 overall record. The Browns' sole victory came in Week 2 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but 2 lopsided defeats at the hands of the New York Giants and Dallas Cowboys have raised concerns about the team's early season form. Similarly, the Raiders are also 1-2 on the season. After suffering a tough loss to the Carolina Panthers, a game in which they were favored, Las Vegas' only win came in an upset on the road against the Baltimore Ravens. The Raiders also dropped their Week 1 matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers. 2 American Football Conference teams that have had their fair share of struggles will look to turn things around in this Week 4 matchup between the Browns and Raiders. Both teams are coming off embarrassing losses. Cleveland fell to the Giants as heavy favorites at home, and the Raiders experienced a similarly painful loss against the Panthers. Following the defeat, Raiders head coach Antonio Pierce made headlines by commenting that some of his players made business decisions late in the game, suggesting that the team might need to make some tough roster decisions in response. For such blunt criticism to come so early in the season is a bad sign, and both teams are already in need of a morale boost. However, Cleveland's defense provides a glimmer of hope, as they are holding opposing quarterbacks to a completion rate of just 58.8%, which ranks 4th best in the league. While I'm not particularly optimistic about Deshaun Watson, even he should find some success against a Raiders defense that allowed Andy Dalton to look like an elite quarterback last week. Dalton torched the Las Vegas secondary, throwing for 319 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Chuba Hubbard ran through the defense, averaging 5.4 yards per carry. Although the Raiders received praise for their surprising win over the Ravens in Week 2, that victory appeared to be a fluke. Despite winning, Las Vegas was outgained 383-260 in total yardage and benefited from some fortunate circumstances. They averaged just 1.6 yards per carry in that game, and Ravens quarterback Gardner Minshew was sacked 5 times. Minshew will likely face similar struggles against Cleveland's stout defense, led by defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz. The Raiders' defensive woes were on full display last week as they failed to slow down the Panthers and Andy Dalton. This game could serve as an opportunity for Deshaun Watson to get his season back on track by leading the Browns to a road win. Without the pressure of a hostile home crowd, Cleveland is in a favorable position, especially given their superior playmakers on offense. With talents like Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy leading the charge, the Browns have a significant advantage over the Raiders. Meanwhile, Gardner Minshew has been serviceable but far from exceptional through the first 3 weeks of the season. The health of Raiders defensive end Max Crosby is a major concern, as he didn't look fully fit during last week's game against the Panthers. On the other side, despite injuries to their offensive line, the Browns should be able to capitalize on a depleted Raiders defensive front. If you look at the Browns' offensive weapons, including Watson, Cooper, and Jeudy, it's clear they still have enough talent to win this game. Even though their offensive line has been ravaged by injuries, the absence of a healthy Max Crosby on the Raiders' defense, one of the best pass rushers in the league, gives Cleveland an edge. Additionally, it remains to be seen whether Antonio Pierce's critical comments about his players will have a negative impact on team morale. The Raiders' earlier win over Baltimore was largely due to a miraculous performance by Minshew and a strong showing from Crosby, but with Crosby hobbled and Adams out, the Raiders might struggle. Watson may have to rely on his mobility to create plays. Depth will be a critical factor in this matchup, especially considering the injuries affecting both teams. In that regard, Cleveland seems to have the upper hand. Given the Raiders' disastrous performance against the Panthers, it's hard to back them in this one, so the Cleveland Browns to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Neither quarterback in this matchup is playing at a high level, and Minshew is coming off a game where he was benched late after a poor performance against the lowly Panthers. With Aiden O'Connell waiting in the wings, Minshew is on a short leash, and it's hard to expect much from him against a Cleveland defense that has been tough on opposing quarterbacks all season. Even in their lone offensive outburst against the Ravens, the Raiders managed just 260 yards of total offense. As for the Browns, Deshaun Watson has been underwhelming, yet to average more than 5.5 yards per attempt in a game this season. Last week against a Giants defense that isn't considered elite, Watson was sacked 8 times, bringing his season total to 16 sacks. He has yet to throw for more than 200 yards in a game this season, and neither team has been able to establish a reliable running game to take the pressure off their struggling quarterbacks. The Raiders are dead last in the league in both rushing yards and yards per carry, while Cleveland has been unable to get their usually dominant ground game going, thanks to a weakened offensive line and the absence of star running back Nick Chubb. It's hard to see how either team is going to put up points in this game. The Raiders scored just 10 points against the Chargers and were largely ineffective on offense against the Panthers until the game was already out of reach. Cleveland, meanwhile, is heavily reliant on their defense to keep them in games. Myles Garrett, Cleveland's star defensive player, is battling an injury but will still likely make things difficult for Minshew, who could be forced into mistakes under pressure. The Browns have gone under the total in their last 2 games, and with their offensive line still struggling, this team is likely to rely on low-scoring, defensive battles to win games until they get healthier. While I don't have much faith in the Raiders' defense, I'm also not confident enough in the Browns' offense to expect a high-scoring game. Points should be hard to come by in this matchup. Under the projected total is our full game total pick. Buffalo Bills versus Baltimore Ravens. The Buffalo Bills and Baltimore Ravens are set to face off on Sunday night in a highly anticipated showdown between two of the American Football Conference's top teams. Buffalo has remained unbeaten, firmly holding their spot at the top of the American Football Conference East after a dominant 47-10 victory over the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday night. Meanwhile, Baltimore secured their first win of the season last Sunday, narrowly defeating the Dallas Cowboys 28-25 on the road after dropping their first 2 games. The Ravens' first win of the season was an impressive one. Despite being favored by just a single point going into Dallas, Baltimore took control of the game from the start, racking up over 250 rushing yards and more than 450 total yards. This was an impressive feat, especially against a Cowboys team that had been humiliated the week before and came into the game motivated. While Baltimore's 1-2 record might seem underwhelming, the team ranks 5th in total DVOA rankings, indicating they've performed better than their record suggests. Even though their defense has struggled, giving up 26 points per game, they are currently the top run defense in the NFL, allowing just 2.8 yards per rush and 50 rushing yards per game. Normally, this would be a significant advantage against a Bills team that thrives on running the ball with James Cook, Josh Allen, and other contributors. However, there's reason to question the reliability of Baltimore's run defense stats, as their opponents so far, Kansas City, Las Vegas, and Dallas, haven't provided the toughest challenges in the running game. Now enter the Buffalo Bills, who have done nothing to suggest they should be underdogs in this Week 4 matchup. In fact, they could easily be seen as the favorites. Buffalo is currently ranked number 1 in DVOA and boasts the league's most explosive offense through the first 3 games. The Bills lead the NFL in scoring with an average of 37 points per game and have outscored their opponents 104-31 since halftime of Week 1. While their offense grabs headlines, their defense is also formidable, allowing only 4.2 yards per play, 16 points per game, and just a 33.33% touchdown rate in the red zone. When these teams last met in 2022, the Bills won a close 23-20 contest in Baltimore. This season, Buffalo has only gotten stronger with each week, while Baltimore has struggled to find consistency. Despite losing some key players, Bills quarterback Josh Allen has spread the ball around effectively, with 5 different players recording at least 5 receptions and 6 players catching at least 1 touchdown. Baltimore, on the other hand, has been vulnerable against the pass, allowing a league-worst 291.7 passing yards per game, which sets Allen up for a big game. Even if Baltimore's defense tries to focus on shutting down the passing game, Allen's ability to scramble and make plays with his legs gives Buffalo an added dimension. The Bills have won the last 2 meetings between these teams, and they seem poised to extend that streak. Baltimore's pass defense has been a significant liability this season, particularly in the fourth quarter, where they have struggled to hold leads. Buffalo's offensive line should be able to handle Baltimore's pass rush, giving Allen time to exploit a Ravens secondary that ranks 28th in yards allowed per pass attempt. This dynamic could keep Buffalo in the game, even if they find themselves trailing at some point. Buffalo's defense, which allows the second fewest yards per play and ranks among the top 5 in both takeaways and sacks, should be able to make enough stops against Baltimore's tough offense to give the Bills a chance to win. The current spread reflects Baltimore's home field advantage and the momentum from their recent win. But betting against the Bills seems risky in this matchup. In what promises to be an exciting, high-energy game, expect Buffalo to pull away in the fourth quarter. With the way Allen is playing, it's hard to envision the Bills not coming out on top and staying undefeated. Therefore, the Buffalo Bills to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. There should be little debate about the total points expected in this game. Baltimore's offensive strength lies in their running game, which matches up well against Buffalo's biggest defensive weakness, defending the run. The Bills are allowing an average of 4.7 yards per carry, meaning the Ravens should be able to find a rhythm on the ground and score over 20 points again. On the other side, the Bills' top-ranked defense should have no trouble picking apart Baltimore's pass defense. The Ravens allow the most passing yards per game in the league and rank 5th worst in yards allowed per pass attempt. Meanwhile, Josh Allen ranks 4th in the NFL in yards per pass attempt and has only been sacked twice all season, so he's likely to face minimal pressure. In their last meeting, these two teams combined for 43 points, and in the matchup before that, they only managed 20 points. Historically, games between these two tend to feature strong defensive play. However, Baltimore's defense has been far from effective this season, allowing 26 points per game, the 7th highest in the NFL. Now, they'll be facing the league's most potent offense, which is a recipe for disaster. The key question is whether the Ravens' offense can keep up and contribute enough points to make this a competitive game. With Lamar Jackson at quarterback, they certainly have the potential to do so. This matchup is likely to break the recent trend of low-scoring affairs between these teams, making over the projected total our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.